special guest to the show, Shylie Fox. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, last interview we did, it was really interesting because you channeled for us.
Yeah.
And you channeled the 12th dimension.
Yeah.
And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have you back today, explore the world of channeling, and perhaps channel today another dimension, because you channel and not just the 12th dimension, but you channel the 9th dimension, you channel Mary Magdalene, you channel the Palladians, and you don't really get a choice from what I understand. It's just who or what comes through at the time.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's kick it off with some questions if you're happy to answer them today. All right. So can you describe for us the channeling process? Like, is there a certain process that you do or you've discovered that works really well for you, that you can connect up and channel with ease?
Yeah. For me, I just feel it is when I am really super calm in a meditative state and I open myself up to receive information. And then from that place, it can work through either channeling through writing or channeling through speaking or channeling through art as well. I do art. And then also colours.
Right, so there's lots of ways that you channel. It's not just through the voice. Okay, so when you channel, meditation, yes, grounding ourselves, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you discover that that was the sequence of events that was needed to connect to the higher realms, if you like?
Yeah, for sure. And I started meditating. That's what I started doing, and I started to see different aspects when I opened up my third eye, and then just listening to the information that was coming through. So I didn't actually know what channeling was, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And when I look back, I think that once you are in your alignment and in your truth, you are the channel. Like, so just everything you say and do is channeling.
Right. When you were meditating for the first time, how long did it take you? Did you meditate daily, and then it was like within 6 months you were connecting to
it was really
realms?
fast.
Really
fast. Yeah, it was because learning who I am more as a soul, when you go on that journey and question, and I'm still learning myself, and then sometimes I have to let go of something that I believe in and then learn myself on a deeper level. But when I was asking questions, I know that I'm quite high dimensional anyway, and I am connected to Andromeda, which is 12th dimensional. And so I just really let myself relax, because the important thing is having safety and stability. So when you have safety and stability, you can relax and open yourself up. And I really just sat in the backyard of my place that I was staying in and just opened. And had no expectations, because when you try and do something, you block it.
That forms a block, yeah.
Absolutely. So, as I think I mentioned before, I didn't know I was channeling until I cross-referenced Google one time, and I was like, what is going on here? And they were getting different star constellations, and I know that was a lot of Arcturian stuff. As a healer, my work that I do work with DNA and crystalline energy, so that is very Arcturian.
Okay, so let's talk about that stuff. You mentioned Andromeda.
Yes.
You've mentioned Arcturian. So, for newbies that aren't sure what this is, and even for myself, I'd like to. Could you explain Andromedas, like 12th dimension Andromeda? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so
what does that mean?
They're a different. So Andromeda is a galaxy that is just outside of our Milky Way. And they are beautiful benevolent beings, because we're talking about benevolent beings that I channel. I only work with beings that are on the highest vibration of the light, of love, of Christ consciousness. And I can kind of tell when something dark is coming through, and I like to know that this is spirit working through me, getting emotional, but I like to just cut that out. And because what we need right now is beauty and grace and harmony for this planet. And those reptilian ways of being are no longer required, and they're not really welcome here at the moment.
And so the reptilian ways of being are quite negative, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's no good or bad or right or wrong, but I guess in the forms of control and manipulation, they're no longer required. We're going to a co-creative society, one that is connected, one that is heart-based, and that is collaborative. So in order to do that, it really needs to let go of the power and control over others, and how we create harmony is by two people coming together and co-creating, and it's an even energy exchange, a gift of reciprocity, rather than one taking the power over the other. And that's the reptilian. And don't get me wrong, we're all built for that, because that's survival mode, right? So we've all got that in our DNA, and there's all an aspect of that that comes back to, but it's about letting go of that and knowing that we don't need to be in survival mode. We can thrive. We live in this beautiful, abundant galaxy.
That's right.
And we are abundant beings. So.
Yeah, and you're right, you know, we have that reptilian part of our brain, which is the core of our brain, which is set up for fight, flight, or survival.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting how there's a reptilian species, and we have the reptilian part of the brain, which is the core of the brain, all about survival. So that's interesting. So, okay, so you've spoken about the meditative practices that you do, how you discover it. It's super amazing, super interesting. How do you have a healthy balance between channeling and being an everyday person? Because if I were able to channel,
I never got a healthy balance yet. So
right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I were able to channel like you, I'd be like, oh, you know, like if I had some fear about the future, I'd whip into channeling mode and I would download information. I'd be always tapping into that part. And is that allowed, or is there a certain limit? They go, hey Shylie, you've accessed us every day. It's time to live your life and use your own mind. Yeah. Is there a sort of cut-off point with channeling?
Well, I don't think so, because when you're connected to your higher self, that's you being a channel. Like you are the channel for grace. You are the channel for that higher perspective to come in. So I think we're limitless beings with infinite potential. When we connect with other beings in receiving information that way to help us, I don't think there's any limited source. I think that in each moment it's our birthright to ask those that are supporting us for help. They actually need permission to help us.
Yes.
So if we don't ask for it, then we can't really move forward. There are times when you do feel cut off from everything and you're like, where is everyone? Like, where is the support? Give me support. I've said that so many times.
Yes.
And, you know, finding the balance between, it's really important to stay grounded, because when you start to channel and you can live too much in the spiritual world and not be in the physical, which is what I've been through.
Yes.
So it's really coming back to the body and making sure that you're finding the ways and sources to provide nutrients and nourishment for that.
Right. When you channel, because you're connected, it's sort of like your higher vibration. It feels to me like the conduit's connected to something higher than us, and it's like an energetic material coming through us. Do you feel tired? Do you feel invigorated? How does it affect your mind and your body?
I think from what I've felt in myself, and this is my perception, is that when I'm connected to that God source, it's like an ever flowing current of energy. Like, I don't feel tired. I can go. I mean, sleep is important for our physical body.
Yes.
And I definitely noticed that last night with the amount of energy that was wanting to come through, that if we do not get ourselves slept well, then we can create lethargy in the body. Yes. So yeah, it is important to find a balance, to ask for it to be slowly disconnected while you have your time to reinvigorate your physical body. So it can be tiring, but also from that place it can be also very invigorating too. So it just really depends on, it's so important to maintain our health in the physical way in order to be that clear channel. What we put in our body counts. So if you're looking at frequency, sound and vibration, if you're putting low density food in your body is really high vibrational, coming really fresh from the garden. I don't know what the garden wants to be told. Then it is you're more clear. And so if you're putting in denser foods that have got like a lot of stodge, a lot of starch, that are quite heavy, you still can channel, but it's not going to be as pure of the essence. And it doesn't mean that you can't eat these foods, but just being the clearer you are, the more that you will feel energized by your connection. And yeah, that all comes down to frequency, sound and vibration. Okay,
so this is your personal experience, or this is a general for everybody to eat, you know, green, like garden foods, over like meats and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's so many different perceptions out there, and I've been on down the road of, I've listened to Matt Kahn, Keegan Khan, where's his name, Andrew, the guy that wrote Cowspiracy. I've gone to the other side where Joe Rogan has done some interviews with people that are full meat based. Carnivores, yeah. So there is no right or wrong, but for me, the lighter I am, and this is why it takes more work to stay grounded, the lighter I am, the more clear I feel in my connection to my higher self, into my mind, into my body, that I can get information. And that is coming back to whole foods. To me, I feel this lifetime is all about the body and our immune system, and really having it in that aspect that it can be a vehicle for beauty and divine expression. And so whole foods for me is coming back, because our food is so filled with things and preservatives and things that you don't even know what you're putting in. Like, I've been making my own chocolate for 15 years. Like, I just want to know what's in my food, and I think that the earth has given us everything.
It's definitely moved that way. Like, even for myself, I've just got into the realm of making my own face creams and therapeutic, medicinal from nature. And it's really empowering, actually. And when you see what ingredients are in, like skin cream, for instance, face cream, it's just amazing. You think, oh, what am I? Because your skin is your largest organ, and you're absorbing all this stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So I think just the whole, the way the world is going, it's just enlightened us to be more awake to actually what we are putting in our body. So
absolutely.
Can I ask, with the downloads that you get, is there a common thread in the messages?
Love, peace, harmony, connection. Connection's really important. Connecting to the earth, the reciprocity. Reciprocity is the biggest one. If we're going to co-create a place of harmony, of heaven here on earth, then it needs to be of even energy exchange. So really coming back to learning how to live in reciprocity with each other, with nature, with the earth, to get back in touch with the rhythm and cycles of nature too, like they did all the way back in the Egyptian times. Our ancestors, they were in touch with the stars and the moons. There's a group of people called the Mamas in South America, and there's a beautiful documentary on YouTube if you want to watch it, where they explain this golden thread. And it's interesting that you said about a thread, but there's a thread that connects all the portals of the world. In order for the world to work in harmony, you can correlate it towards songlines with the Indigenous Australians. But a lot of this has been broken by man building, and right now my yoni is chatting and my root chakra, but a lot of this has been broken by us desecrating the earth. Basically, the earth is feminine, right? And
Gaia.
Yeah, Mother Earth herself, Pachamama, whatever word you work with her. But to me, she's feminine, and it's the body, it's the representation of the physical body. So the way we treat our earth, to me, is a representation of how we treat our bodies. And obviously that's a generalization. But the more respect and reverence that we can hold, knowing that we are sacred beings and that we are so worthy to have the most beautiful life, but it does take that respect and reverence for yourself and how you treat your body, and then how we treat the earth. So like, what are we putting in it? How are we giving back? How are we, letting ourselves receive as well? That's really, really important. Creating relationships of beauty and just finding the beauty way wherever you go is so important.
So this is the common thread.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Beauty is the way, and that's the prayer of the womb. That's the path of the rose. That's the Mary Magdalene. That's Venus.
Tell us about channeling Mary Magdalene.
Yes, that's been a beautiful journey that I've been so humbled and privileged to be a part of with my teacher, and learning through the esoteric arts of Egypt, and also reconnecting to that part of my soul and part of my lineage as well. She is, to me, one of the greatest teachers of wisdom, but also what is needed for humanity. And in different aspects, in different books, she was the apostle to the apostle. She held the wisdom for how to live in harmony and reciprocity with the earth, how to make creation, how to build societies, how to really live from heart. And it wasn't her alone. It's from her love that Jesus's light could shine, and from his light, her love could heal the world. And so this lifetime, what we're in right now, the shift of humanity, is about love. And it's through that portal of the heart, which is the Venusian energy, which is the rose, which is all about Mary Magdalene. Like, you know, it's to me, that's where it comes through. So, and one of the biggest things that I've said lately on my Instagram, I do channel a lot on there, and what's come through is, you know, that full, how do we be unapologetic ourselves, how do we be full self-love and acceptance, is letting go of judgment. We're such a society that judges everything. And so
I've heard this too. Judgment is the thing that has got to go.
Yes, and comparison is the thief of joy. So joy is at the heart of the illuminated soul. We're walking to illuminate here, like illuminate our light body, so to speak.
And isn't our whole societal conditioning about comparison?
Yep, comparison and judgment.
Comparison and judgment.
Yep.
If we let go of those two, and this is the common thread from your channeling, if individuals, you can't leave it up to anybody else, can become aware of when they're comparing and when they're judging, if we can let that go, that would change and the word I love to use is trajectory.
Yes.
I have to say it slowly because it gets me tongue-tied.
Yeah.
It could and is changing the trajectory, there you go, of the evolution of humanity. Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah, and that's where, like, coming into that place of, you know, right or wrong, good or bad. We're so taught to judge different things, and depending on what trauma you've had around a word, depending on what society has told us is right or wrong, especially when it comes to language or it comes to our appearances. It's like,
I've got a word for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've coined a word. It's called pigeonholism.
Oh, interesting. Explain it.
Well, all the conditioning, it's like, well, you fit into that pigeonhole or this pigeonhole.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, the pigeonholism.
It's pigeonholes and labels, right? And it's like, you know, everything is frequency, sound, and vibration. So if your intention is pure, if your intention of how you speak, how you think, how you act is for the greatest good of all, of light and love, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. And the labels that we get attached to each other, and I've seen this a lot, especially in the mental health world, especially when it comes to Kundalini awakenings, especially when it comes to the way that people are different and then they're labelled as something because they don't fit into the societal norm. That's where I think that labels need to go. I used to get asked how I eat, and I don't know how or why, for some reason I've picked up a label which I'm looking to get rid of again. I used to call myself a choicetarian, and I never knew why. And it's because I would choose to put in my body what I wanted in that moment. I'm like, I'm not vegan, I'm not vegetarian, I'm not a carnivore, I'm a choicetarian. And what I realise now is that because the pigeonholism, the labels have got to go,
You've
right?
picked it up.
Because
the labels have got to go.
Absolutely. And that's how we can move into a peaceful society, is if we stop judging other people, because the key is that we only judge others as much as we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, where in myself am I judging? And this is, you know, coming back to Mary Magdalene, coming back to channeling her to the high consciousness, to the high self, and really connecting to the love that we are. Because as source beings, if we're all one consciousness, if we are all source, what is source? It's love. I don't know.
Yeah. And love is the only, it doesn't have duality.
No.
Everything has duality, but love, it just is.
Yeah.
There's no duality, there's no other side of the coin to that.
And that's breaking down the
Bottom line,
unconditional love.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So we are going to be channeling soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And perhaps we'll ask that question, how do we stop judging people?
Okay.
I wrote it down as you see me write it down. Because I thought, well, that's a good question to ask the other dimensions. How do we stop judging people? So I think we might ask these questions soon. But firstly, before we go into the channeling, I would like to ask for the viewers, you know, there might be people here that would like to channel. I would love to channel like Shylie. I have this amazing ability. And so for the people who are watching, who are keen to go, you know what, I've done that once before and it happened like 10 years ago and I'd like to do that again. I don't know what happened in that moment. I know you spoke about meditation, becoming grounded. Is there a thought process involved?
That's a good question. For me, I just open my heart. So So the thought process is with good intention, only the beings that are wanting to work with me or work through me. But I definitely just open my heart up to receive and let that come through whatever information is meant to come. So again, coming back to, you don't necessarily need to know. I do think that in every moment, what is wanting to work through us, as long as we set the intention and the container of the highest vibration of the light, of the love, of the Christ consciousness, whatever you feel, agape love, of source that wants to come through, is just setting the intention and opening your heart up and not having any expectations.
You know, sometimes when people channel, I've noticed that they take on a different way of flowing the sentences or even the choice of words that comes through. And I, in my own experience, and viewers might know I'm a hypnotherapist, so, you know, I've gone into deep trance and I've found that, my voice slightly can change if I'm in a very deep trance, become softer actually, and the words that come through are words that I wouldn't normally use in everyday language. And I'm like, oh, why would I have said that with that word? That's interesting. So I have noticed, so even though you're saying, you know, it's channeling, it's coming through you, you're accessing your higher self, why does this happen where our voice can slightly change, or the words we choose, the way the sentence flows is slightly different? You can tell when a person is channeling as to just normal everyday conversational language. So what is that's going on?
I think it's just a different energy that's working through you, so then your tone changes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what I put it to. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but when I think of that and I tune in, it's like, okay, well, this is coming from something that is working through me. So therefore, if it's a higher galactic being, or if it's a, if it's a deity, if it's something that's wanting to work with you, then it'll come in at a different tone. I actually had a friend that I did a channel the other day on my Instagram, and he's messaged me and said, Shylie, at the end of your talk, when I was watching you on live, your voice changed to a man. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I was like, wonder what that is, like, you know, when I was channeling. And he's like, I watched it back and it didn't seem like that, but that's what it was in that moment. And I was like, I don't know.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really put my finger on it, but for me that's what it feels like, is that if it's something that's wanting to channel through me, then therefore it can be. But I've listened to other people, and it just seems like maybe they're like the way that the words are coming out is changing, maybe it's not as slow, and it doesn't have to come out in any way. It's just trusting that what the information is with your intention as well.
So when information comes through you, you can feel within yourself that if something is not benevolent. And what would you do there? So if viewers like, you know, I'm actually scared to do this because I'm scared of what might come through.
Absolutely.
And, you know, people talk about, you know, having bad energies being attached to them. Is this a portal for bad energy attachment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have to use discernment.
You will use discernment and also boundaries, energetic boundaries and hygiene. I cannot talk more about that than anything. And you know, it is about being disciplined. I know that when I'm not disciplined, I do get myself into trouble, and I've had a few entities in my time, and I've picked them up by noticing the telltale signs, like having really disaster mind, feeling low, having negative thoughts. But when you're doing this, when you open yourself up, you've got to set your boundaries. That's really important, and it's really important for anyone who is empathetic or is open channel. I do feel that for me, a lot of the anxiety, even though anxiety is related to the future, can be to do with boundaries, with people being so sensitive to the energy around them that it's shaking their energetic field, because we have these huge energetic fields around us, our auric fields. And when your energetic field is shaky, that's when other things can get in. So it's like, okay, well, how can I protect my energetic field, my aura right now? And it's like, set an intention to practice that. I do visualization. And, you know, before we started this, I said I'll set the energy for us so that only the highest vibration can come in, because it's so important, and otherwise you can get information that is misguided or not accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So it's just as easy as visualizing and setting an intention. Like, I intend to channel what's pure, what's benevolent, you know, from the heart. Anything else, go away, not interested.
Yeah, and I just say only beings of the highest vibration, like consciousness of unconditional agape love, who is wanting to work through me with humanity at the heart, then please do. But anything that's of a lower vibration that is not of the highest level, like you're not welcome in my field. And setting that bubble around you, like a visualizer bubble, and you know, whatever else you want. I put cords into the earth. I sometimes wrap myself around with the earth as well. But really just knowing that you're in that safe, nurturing space is really, really, to me, important.
Because thoughts are energy, they're a vibration, and they're a language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our thoughts aren't bubbles of nothingness.
No, and this is like, I mean, I love doing this, friends, I feel like you do too. But like for me, like, change your thoughts, change your life, like Wayne Dyer. Like, you know, it's
absolutely,
the mind is so powerful, and when we're living in the mind, we can get really hard in our masculine and really shut out the outside world. We can create toxic thought patterns, behaviours, beliefs, and so really conditioning ourselves, and when we go down that spiral to be like, hang on a minute, that's not true. Is that me? And sometimes these thought patterns can be projected onto us by beings that aren't of the highest light. So again, this is where protection of energy field. You know, there's especially the younger ones, the different vibrations that are coming in with young star seeds, people that have got different gifts, but we're moving out of density. So the kids that are getting born today are lighter and lighter and lighter. They're more susceptible to the energy around them. And it's not to put in fear, but it's just, if you're wanting to work with spirit, you've got to make sure that one, you're a clear channel, but two, also that you're putting up energetic boundaries. Energetic hygiene is really, really important. And like bringing your energy back to you at night time, like, you know, everything is a thread. And so if you imagine that, you're like a battery, and every conversation, every text message, every group that you're in, everyone that you see through your day, they've got this cord attached to you. And if you don't bring it back at the end of the day, then you're going to bed with so many people plugged into you. And so you've got to call that back. So really being protective of yourself, and that's not to shut anyone out. So that's the biggest thing though, is we're told to build walls around our hearts. And I'm going to go a little bit Brene Brown. I know it's a little bit off topic.
I have those. Quoted her in my book.
Okay. Because we're so...
Atlas of the Heart.
Yes. Oh, I love that book.
Yeah.
Because we're so... Oh, me too. So we're so taught to build walls around our hearts because out of fear and, you know, being judged and not being accepted for who we are. So boundaries... People don't know boundaries, and we tend to not have boundaries. That's where I've gone wrong a lot in my life, is by not having strong boundaries in order to be loved through my trauma background. And yet boundaries are not something that is against people, and they're not something that is a negative thing. It's actually showing so much radical self-love for yourself and for other people by having boundaries.
Yeah.
Like it's imperative to us thriving is to being like, that's not for me, that's for me. Okay, this is my boundary.
And the boundaries always need to be readjusted, because you can't just be born and go, right, well, there's my boundaries, and that's how I'm going to function for the rest of my life. Boundaries they come through having experiences. And then we need to really go back and go, well, what are our boundaries now? I'm this age, that age, what in my experiences. So the boundaries are something that we should always go back to and readjust. And also our values, because once we experience things, until we experience things, they don't come into light. So when we experience them and we know exactly what we're talking about then, and we go, well, actually, my values about that have perhaps changed. I need to set a boundary for that. And it is exactly what you said. I love how you explain things, Shylie, very clear. It's about self-love. It's about respecting yourself and knowing what's good for you. It's about actually knowing yourself better. When you have the experiences you can do, and then you can set really good boundaries. And then you start to feel really good about yourself, self-empowered, when you honour them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, boundaries is a big thing in my work. Boundaries and values.
And it's interesting that you say about beliefs and values. I'm very conscious of the time, so we will get on, but I'll just like quickly, the beliefs and values, they can change, and when they change, get ready for your relationships to change. We're going to do a whole nother one, I feel, on relationships and how we're taught that they're supposed to stay the same, and talking about frequency, sound and vibration. Values, if your values change, expect your relationships to change.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're holding a different standard, you've got maybe different things you're focusing on, and then you're going to gravitate those people in that are going to have that
different experiences again.
Absolutely.
Because you change your frequency. Yes. We're all radios, and we all have a frequency. And when you actually change the frequency of your thoughts, and you actually become aware of some other thought, and you start thinking that's changing your radio station. Then you're actually hearing different music, and in life you're having a different experience. Yeah, it's amazing.
I love that. And music is the food of the soul. Like,
absolutely.
Literally, music is everything. Like, and we are frequency, sound, and vibration. And I believe that we've all got a song to sing. And we are harmony. And it's like you see a choir. I do it in my yoga classes. Like, everything is harmony. And when you're humming in your own song and you're singing your song, and I've been singing a lot lately because I know I'm getting higher and higher in my alignment, is that you just literally would just want to sing all day, every day, and that's your heart song. And that's where it's like vibration is everything, music is everything. Like, it's like I just like to think of this body as a divine instrument, like a guitar, and it's just being played. It's being played by the universe. And each chakra represents a different note.
Yes, so, and it does, and a different frequency.
Absolutely. So we'll go that another day though.
We'll go that another time, yeah. So all right, so let's go into the channeling part now.
Yeah, okay,
exciting part 2. So we're going to channel, Shylie's going to channel. Yeah. And also next time we get together with Shylie, we're definitely going to delve into light language, because that's come out through this episode, and viewers might be going, why is she doing that? Why is she making those sounds? So we'll definitely go into that, because light language is really interesting. It'll be a great episode.
Amazing, I love that.
Yeah, so happy to channel for us. So I have some questions prepared.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so perhaps I'll just ask them as we go along. So
I'll get ready.
I'll let you get into your space. Yeah. Can I ask the first question?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure if you were ready. Are there any specific actions that humanity should do to navigate through the current times?
Humanity needs to open their hearts to receive the light that is coming in through all different vortexes of the galaxies, to be embedded into this new frequency that we are raising, in order to open our hearts, just letting go of all of the conditioning and the aspects of our egos that are no longer required, which is the connection to the so-called part of our thought train in judgment, in control, in competition of the old, knowing that we are all here to co-create and play together, and letting our inner child come out and radiate is the key.
Thank you. What would be the easiest way to release ourselves and let go of conditioning? Is that too big a question? Perhaps even just letting go of the ego.
Letting go of the ego requires coming to terms with death. So death is something that is taboo in our society, that has not been talked about. It's something that people are not wanting to face, as it is. Seems like a finale, but actually death is just a beginning. It is the beginning of a new cycle. So death and rebirth. If you look at the Scorpio and the Phoenix rising, which is what the channel is in this moment, is that each moment we die to be born again. And so the ego, when we have an ego death, it can be very feel like the world is ending, but on the other side of that, there's more opening and more connection into our hearts, and that is really the key, is to letting go of the ego. And we want to work with our ego, not to dissolve it completely, but to come into this space where it's in respect and reverence of the heart.
How might we avoid potential problems in the future? Sort of answered it, but can we go more specifically into our individual consciousness and how we can contribute to helping solve problems in the future?
The way to help solve problems in the future is to solve the problems that we have within ourselves, of the judgment and the lack or anything else that we feel we are inadequate for, because the problems that show us in the outside world are the problems that revolve on the inside world. And so by doing the deep inner work of healing our trauma, of clearing our ancestral karma and our patterns and our conditioning, is the way that we will belong here. And it's all about belonging in this moment, feeling safe to be here and be supported and grounded and expressed freely. So what we can do for each other is to not only love ourselves unconditionally, but to recondition ourselves in a way that we love each other and see each other as the light and the love.
What can we as individuals do to steer humanity's evolution into a positive direction? Probably repeating the question, but just trying so hard to get very clear for people who are watching, to be able to do the inner work, to change and actually ingrain, because it's already here, we're 5Ds here, a better future. We just need to keep on that trajectory. I can never say that word.
Trajectory, yes. We just need to keep on the same path of opening and releasing, opening and releasing, opening and releasing. And in that process of letting go, it's all about surrender into the flow. So as control beings, we are so taught to want to create outcomes that serve ourselves and maybe not the best of all of humanity. So really the I needs to become the we, and in the we, that's how we co-create this new humanity, one of love and hope and harmony and peace.
Thank you. May I ask who we are channeling in this moment?
We're channeling the 12-dimensional galactic beings, or the 7 races of the Pleiades.
Thank you. Thank you for your information. Could you freely let us know any other information that could be of benefit for us in these times in 2024, perhaps projections, going into this year and into the future? I know it's all about ourselves and going into, doing that inner work, and is there any other information, words of wisdom that you would like to offer us?
Just ones that of love and support and faith and guidance. Let your inner compass be the light that shines through. Trust yourself now more than ever before, and make sure that you're connected to the floor, to the earth. Get your feet out there on the bare grass and just really ground down, because whatever is coming in right now is going to bring us into higher vibrational being. So in order for that to be freeing, we really do need to make sure that we are connected to the lands that hold us dearly.
I remember the other question I needed to ask. Thank you. How do we stop judging people?
Judgment comes from a place of disharmony within oneself. Judgment comes from a place of conditioning that has been built to keep the walls of our hearts closed in a way of self-protection mode, when actually there is no judgment. No one is judging ourselves. And in order to let go of this self-actualization process of the ego is to really release through and let the heart crack open all of the parts of you that feel broken.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for answering all of our questions today. And Shylie, is there anything else that you would like to connect to bring through a message? I'll leave it up to you now how you want to end your channeling session for us. Thank you. We really appreciate the wisdom that's come through today.
Yeah, I just really want to connect to the womb and to this prayer of beauty, to the ancestors and the grandmothers, and to all the benevolent beings that are here to support us in these times, to the earth keepers, to the light of love that is shining through, to the Magdalene daughters, to the priestesses, to the witches, to the healers, to the medicine women and men. we are all doing this together, and the more that we can support the prayers or the wisdom that are wanting to come through the abuelas to bring in this new way, but also the ancient way of community, of connection and heart. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel good. Yeah, I feel really good. I feel really, so that was quite active around here, around the third eye. That was quite strong as well. But I feel great. I feel really softened. And thank you for asking at the end what I was wishing to say. I think, you know, there's so much about going up, and when I do my channeling, I think this is quite important for people that meditate. We're so taught to go up and out, and the old ascension way was, you know, transcending the physical body. That's what it's taught in the patriarchal way of enlightenment. But actually, Mary Magdalene, if you listen to her in her gospel, it's all about being in this body. It's about transcending into the body in a deeper scale. So yes, it's great to connect to the higher consciousness to get all the downloads, but then we've got to bring it into the body, and it's through the body that we're bringing it onto this earth in the portal of the heart. So listening to the wisdom of the earth through the Pachamama, through the wisdom of the womb, through the abuelas, is going to be, and through the plants too. So it's really about making sure that we are connecting to both, and then bringing both of them together to bring harmony and peace.
Thank you so much for your channeling today, and all of your words of wisdom, all of your advice, and you're just so much information, like an encyclopedia of information. It's really wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing. I've learned a lot today. I'm sure some people out there have learned something as well. So thank you again for coming on the show. I can't wait to have you again in the future, and we'll go through some other things that you've brought up today, but we'll do it in small doses because you just have so much to share. So wonderful. So thank you again. Thank you for watching Breadcrumbs to Blueprints and this series called What's Your Superpower? Have a lovely day.